Yo, what is up, guys? Ari Leschner here. Welcome back to episode 7 of the CLUELESS podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every Thursday, as well as shortened clips dispersed throughout the week. Also, stay on the lookout for new content, styles, and videos. Today, at the end of the episode, we're having former D1 football player, comedian, and mental health expert, Leo Flowers, on to give you tips to be a better version of yourself mentally.
In this week's episode, we talk about the stock market, Jake Paul's DMs, and Logan v. Floyd getting postponed. Stay tuned for the end of the episode where we interview comedian and mental health expert Leo Flowers talking about how to cope with anxiety and depression.
Yo! What's good, homies? Derek Schwartz here. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, and turn your post notifications on for daily content. If you're looking to listen to our show, you can find us at CLUELESS on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Follow our social medias at the CLUELESS Show _ on Instagram, at the CLUELESS Show on Twitter, and on TikTok. Make sure to follow our Facebook page at the CLUELESS Podcast, and let's get into the news segment. Hey.
And this week's in the news, we talk about the crazy shit going down with the stock market.
Yeah, me and Dennis are kind of not adverse on the topic, so Ari's going to give us a little description here, and we're going to try to learn from Ari Leschner.
So, if none of you heard, Reddit users on the forum Wall Street Bets, they were infamous for losing $50,000 on an option stock, which is a bet that anyone can make. Mm-hmm. That when a stock, it's basically a bet that you can make to bet on if a stock falls or rises. Right. So, if none of you heard, obviously the forum Wall Street Bets came together to make a short squeeze on GME or GameStop, raising the stock price from $19.95 to what it currently is at Monday, 9 p.m., January 31st, 2021, is $328. And the reason why I'm saying the exact date and time is stocks jump up and down and up and down and up.
It's going to continue to
rise.
rise.
Wait, what did you say it was before?
Yeah.
Before it was today? It's 300.
Before it was $19.
Jesus,
that's crazy.
Yeah, before these neck-bearded men decided to invest probably millions of dollars in a dead stock, basically.
Yeah.
Some sellers actually lost $23 billion.
Jesus.
Because of some stupid fucking Reddit users.
Well, okay, wait. What's your opinion on it?
Wait,
do you think the Reddit users are stupid? Do you think they're assholes?
One more time?
Who do you think is the asshole on this topic? The hedge fund owners?
Yeah.
Or the Reddit users?
I believe that the hedge fund users, the system, in my opinion, is a little bit corrupt.
Yeah, it's fucked up. Yeah.
We're retail buyers and sellers, and these hedge funds are they can buy after hours, which we retail people can't do. So it's a little bit fucked up because they can also short squeeze and just sell out completely of a stock like AMC or something, and all these people can lose millions of dollars because some fucking Wall Street dudes decided to sell a shit ton of their stock, which is nuts.
Yeah, I know for me, I feel like I know, generally about everything else, but when it comes to stocks, I don't know anything. I genuinely know nothing about it, because there's so much to know, I feel like.
Yeah, it's confusing. I had, a crash course on it last night, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta take a class.
Shout out to my neighbor. He taught me a little bit about it.
I just kind of learned,
neighbor?
wait, so when you buy a share in a stock, you're basically betting on other people buying that stock because other people just like you see value in the company, and as more people buy the stock, the value goes up, and then when you cash in on your stock, it's all about the growth. So let's say you bought a stock for $19 and then it was $328, you made, that amount of money, right? Am I right?
$30,000. Yeah, you would make $30,000.
Well, no. Well, in that scenario, if you bought it for 19, it was.
In that scenario, if you bought 100 shares in.
100 shares. Yeah. So that's
I saw something.
Yeah,
Like,
that would be.
I'm
You would
probably
make
gonna
$30,000 on that.
sure.
So all these dudes, they also probably made options on it. They probably made upwards of probably 500 grand. I should say.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy. Wow.
These fucking Reddit
Yeah.
nerds are crazy, man.
So also Robinhood made a huge part in this. Because it allowed Redditors to buy and sell their stock whatever time, or whenever, not whatever time, they wanted them. And they could make options on it. So if they saw the stock rising, they can make an option on how much it would rise to. Which I'm sure the guys on Wall Street Bets put in their, like, little forum thing. Oh, we're going to stop here so that we can all make a shit ton of money.
Right, yeah.
Like, so they probably got it to $328, and all these options cashed in, hence making them millions of dollars.
Don't you think
So
it's-
all these people probably made millions of dollars off of 1 week,
Yeah.
and all these huge companies lost billions, which is crazy to me.
Don't you think it's like kind of like an asshole move though with these like hedge fund like people are doing, like they're basically betting on
yeah.
other companies' downfall.
Yeah.
Like I don't know,
Yeah.
like the Dave Portnoy tweet is going to be on the screen, and last week I pointed to the wrong side, so I think it's this side. I think I'm probably fucking wrong. It's either one of these sides. But like he was pissed off about it, and like a bunch of like business owners and like stock people, that kind of world, are pissed off. But I don't think, like, I think they got played. They got
Pissed off.
played. He said it's like illegal or
Yeah,
something.
it was the first time that I probably got played
Yeah.
in forever.
It's like
actually.
that's your business, you know. That's what happens. You got fucked. You got
they
fucking
were
played.
only able to. Yeah, they were only able to take back this control because of, I believe, Robinhood, because they can see Robinhood is a trading app. There are multiple trading apps that you can work on. I think there's Robinhood. I know for one. I've been mentioning it earlier, which is like the primary source of all these people. As I was saying before, there is another primary source that these Redditors bought on. It's called Webull Investing and Trading.
Oh, I saw that.
Which is another.
Wait,
saw that?
Omegle?
Weeboy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, what the hell? I fucking love Omegle, man.
Yeah, so I mean it's just pretty crazy to me that all these people made millions of dollars in only a week. It's like hitting the lottery almost.
All right, so for topic 2 of ITN in the news, the fight that we've all been waiting for. Actually, I really haven't been waiting for it because I don't really want to see it. I wish he would fight someone else. Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. It is postponed. It's official. We got the Bleacher Report notification the other night. It is postponed.
Yeah.
Do we think?
I'm not even that shocked.
Yeah,
Like, it
I
was
couldn't
expected.
picture it happening. Do you guys think they're gonna reschedule it? I heard they're like working hard to.
I think they
I
will,
mean,
but like,
Does
I
Logan
don't
want to
yeah, I don't
fight?
know.
Oh, Logan
Floyd?
wants to. It's definitely Floyd.
No, it's definitely the other way around.
has to
it's
be
definitely
Floyd.
Floyd.
Really?
Yeah.
So
Why would?
hear that.
What do you think?
What?
Why do you think that he wouldn't want to be able to? That he wouldn't want to fight?
Well, like here are the two like theories I heard. So, like it was reported like there was a lack of interest, but like you heard Logan
that's
denied
not
it.
true.
So I don't know if why it would be a
I
lack
think there
of
was
interest.
a COVID outbreak.
I don't think so. I don't think that's the whole
Didn't he
story.
say so?
If there's a COVID outbreak, there would be a new date that was given. We would have known that
Yeah.
already. And Logan didn't say it was a COVID outbreak because then if you say like a COVID outbreak is like kind of a simplified thing, then people are speculating. So you would say it's probably not. So the two theories I heard is, or really the one theory is, and True Jordy brought this up on his podcast, is that like Floyd Mayweather might have actually realized like even though Floyd's probably gonna win, like maybe it was stupid for him to actually take the fight.
He has everything to
Why
lose,
would-
and Logan
yeah.
has everything to win.
Even if there's a small chance that Logan's gonna beat him, why the fuck would he
Yeah.
take the like? Okay, he makes
Why would he
money.
take that chance?
Like, why would he take?
Floyd money
He gets
winner.
hit with one shot, like somehow made like he's slowing down. His head movement's probably not the same anymore. Like, He gets hit with one
The
shot.
internet blows up.
I wouldn't
The
be
internet
surprised.
blew up when Nate Robinson
Yeah,
lost.
the internet will fucking blow up. The internet has blown up so many times. I can only imagine what that would do. Like,
If YouTuber Logan Paul beat fucking Floyd Mayweather,
One of the greatest boxers
the
of all
greatest,
time.
probably
The fucking
undefeated.
internet would explode. Yeah.
yeah, nuts.
Do you think Floyd's scared?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know the story.
I don't know
He's
what the
scared
fuck's
to
going on,
box
Floyd.
him. I think.
I don't think
he's
he's scared.
for the backlash.
I honestly probably think it's his team. I feel like his team is like, this is not smart. I don't think he knows what he's getting himself into. I'm not saying that he's getting himself into danger because, like, Logan's gonna beat the shit out of him, but like, we haven't seen Logan box in a year and a half, so maybe he's like drastically better. His stop, like,
Yeah.
you know, if he has to be quicker. I mean, he's only getting better, and Floyd's only getting older. If he lands one shot, I mean, one shot, I think that's all it takes.
One shot on him.
He's never been
And
hit
your
like
neck
that
goes
before. He's never been hit, really.
And Floyd's hits won't hurt
Yeah,
Logan.
yeah, that's the thing.
Because of the size difference.
The only thing I could see is like Logan gassing out and then him just catching a flurry, and because he won't be able to catch it, keep his hands up, which I still don't
In the
think.
KSI fight, he was good.
Well, I
With
mean,
his
I
stamina.
think if Floyd gets hit by one, like, right,
Straight right?
he doesn't lose the fight, but he loses the
Oh
internet.
yeah,
You know what I
Logan
mean?
already won. It doesn't
Yeah.
even matter.
Like if there's a picture of fucking Floyd getting hit by a punch, that shit
By
is
a
gonna
fucking
blow
YouTuber?
up.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Well, also like
I don't know why he would take it in the first place.
yeah,
Like I said before, he has everything to lose. Logan has
Yeah.
everything to win.
Like-
he's already won. He got in the ring with one of the
Yeah,
best
Logan
boxers.
if
of
we
all time.
weren't in COVID, I would understand because that's probably gonna make you a shit ton of money. But
Oh
but
wait.
now like the possibility to make money probably isn't as high as it used to be because there's no
Wait.
fans.
Yeah, I think I saw something that said maybe they were delaying it until they could have fans in the
Yeah,
stadium
possibly.
because
Oh,
That
he's
would
a
make
fan?
Floyd
sense.
Mayweather. That would be sick.
Dude,
Could be.
they do it at
We should buy
MSG.
tickets.
I would totally go. There's no way that
Yeah.
they would allow that, but
I think those tickets would be.
Doesn't
way
the UFC
too
have fans now?
no, they do on Fight. Oh, they do it in like Dubai or something, so that they're probably allowed to have fans.
Oh yeah, and
Abu
they're, like
Dhabi.
Dubai
Abu Dhabi,
Island.
yeah,
I don't know if that's in Dubai.
yeah, it's somewhere in like
Doesn't matter.
I don't in the Middle East.
Is that why what's his name, Dana White was up there?
Yeah, Fight Island.
I fucking hate Dana
That's right.
White.
Yeah, he's kind of a dickhead.
You want to start beef with him like you started beef with Conor McGregor?
Yeah, fuck you, Dana White. I'll scrap you. I'll scrap you.
Are you gonna
if I
fight
see you
Conor
on camera
McGregor?
again. Yeah, I'm gonna fight both of them.
Nice,
2022.
nice.
Stay tuned.
I'll scrap both
Ari
of you. I'll
Leshner
scrap
versus
both of you at
Conor
the same
McGregor.
time. So, there is some crazy shit going down in Jake Paul's DMs. He slid into his opponent Ben Askren's wife's DMs, which is that's a little bit too far, Jake.
I mean, he's a master at fucking selling his fights.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah.
Like both him and Logan are. They know how to sell a fight really, really well.
So the
They
DM,
know how to sell anything.
The
really.
DMs
I mean,
Yeah.
they bought shit with like a bird on it.
they're on the screen.
yeah, the DMs on the screen. I'm gonna read it now. So Amy Askren, Ben Askren's wife, posted this on her story. So first Jake slid in. He said, "Sup, baby?" 2 hearts. Then
Oh my
then she said, "I see you're selling your house," which he is. He's selling his house in LA. "Do you need a realtor?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, you're into role play. Okay, we can do this." Heart face emoji. And then he said, "Hey Amy, I'm looking to find the best realtor to sell my house." And then he said, "You want to come over and check it out?" with like a winking face. And then she like made a comment, left a caption on it, and said, "Any fellow realtors have advice for when customer conversations get creepy?" I mean,
Oh wow, nice shot.
Hey,
Amy
could we talk
Askren.
about how the response was kind of weird? Like how she just said, "I see you're selling your house." That's kind of weird, don't you think?
yo, it's funny because like, I don't think.
I mean, there's no way to defend against that, really.
Yeah, no, because like
Yeah,
I don't think
I
Nate
guess.
Robinson's like information was really out there. Like you knew his kid's like up and coming basketball star, but you don't know if he has a wife or really anything about that. His wife
He's a loser.
His wife has a fucking public Instagram. And it's like she doesn't know, like they don't know the stuff that they're getting into. So Ben and Amy Askren, if you guys are watching this, just don't fuck with that shit. Like you're getting yourself into something that you don't want to be in. You don't understand what's going on. Yeah. It's only
Jake
an amount of time.
Asshole.
I also saw Jake Paul training with. I might have said this the last episode. He's training with Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah.
Which he.
Wait, let me just like no, before you guys get made into a meme, like just stop. Yeah, but he was training with Masvidal.
Don't become the next Nate Robinson.
Nice right hook.
What song do you think Jake Paul is gonna walk out to during that? I feel the love in the air or something.
I don't know. Probably.
And he's gonna point at Amy Askren like in the stands. That'd be fucked.
Yeah, no,
he's the internet villain.
Nah, bro, I love how he just doesn't fucking care about what anyone thinks.
Because he's the internet villain.
Yeah, he's the internet villain. It's starting to hit. It's starting to hit that he's the internet villain. It's starting to hit that he's the internet villain. Like, I'm starting to feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but, like, I just wish everyone just was fucking like that and understood a fucking joke, you know?
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to do it for today's In the News segment. We are recording this the day before the Leo Flowers interview, so you're going to see that in about 10 seconds. Yeah, so we're interviewing mental health expert, comedian, life coach Leo Flowers, and we hope it goes well, so we will see you guys tomorrow. So, we are back with the one and only Leo Flowers. Leo Flowers is a former D1 football player, comedian, life coach, the host of the Before You Kill Yourself podcast. Leo, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. I mean, you call me the one and only. That's a great introduction right there. The one and only Leo Flowers. No matter what mood I was in before, I'm great now. So I appreciate that. The one and only. That's how I want to be announced every time. I'm just gonna call like it's the one and only Leo Flowers.
Before your comedy shows?
Yeah.
Introducing the one and only Leo Flowers.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. Even when I introduce myself.
Coming on stage.
Yeah. Got it. So
have you guys seen what was that movie? Braveheart? I think it was not Braveheart.
No, I haven't.
God, what was the other one?
I haven't.
No.
Oh my God, you guys okay? All right, that was,
we're young.
Yeah, you're young.
Yeah, I'm not a big
only
movie
14.
guy. No,
what? Well, all right, wait. So are you? What are you? TV, video games? I know you're video games, but are you more TV shows or?
Video.
I kind of watch YouTube.
YouTube. That's the thing today.
Wow. YouTube.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah. No, this is gonna be interesting. Kind of like we've never like you're our second guest, so we haven't had someone over the age of like 16. So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, the YouTube? I've heard about that. Yeah. That's hilarious.
So you played D1 football?
Yeah. I played at Ball State. Go Cards.
Ball State.
We won our bowl game this year. They played in Arizona. I think it was like the Tucson Bowl or something like that.
Nice.
We did get in. When I played there, we went to the Vegas Bowl, which is where I lost all of my money. So I have not gambled since then. I learned my lesson once, and I'm done. But I was a defensive tackle there. I played for 3 years. It was supposed to be 5.
Wow.
My first year I redshirted, and then I had a neck injury. I woke up paralyzed twice, and done.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Finito. So
yeah, that's why I play basketball. That's why I haven't gotten to football. Number one, because if I wanted to, I'm taller than most kids my age, so they would and bigger, so they'd probably want me to play defense. I always wanted to be like a tight end or receiver, and the injuries are kind of scary.
Your mom would never let you play.
and my dad.
And same for me.
So that's not flying.
I play hockey,
Yeah.
but I've been playing hockey since I was like 5. But if you know what you're doing, it's not terribly dangerous, which sounds pretty crazy, but
But you can like check people.
Yeah, you can check people, but
Yeah.
but if,
There's two things that'll get you. All right, one is like injuries, right? So like
Yeah.
acute injury, somebody checks you, or you get into a fight, or you land wrong, whatever, right? The other thing is chronic pain. So that's what happens like when you hit your 40s. It's when your body reminds you of all the horrible mistakes you made in your teenage and 20s, where you thought you got away with it, and then it's like, nah. We want to talk to you real quick.
yeah. Yeah, I've been praying for not having chronic pain. I think
Yeah.
my dad gets it in his knee.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, trust me,
yeah,
we hear it all the
right. Oh,
time.
yeah.
Oh, my tendonitis. Oh my god.
I had patellar tendonitis.
I got.
Do you have that,
tendonitis.
Dennis?
Yeah.
Dennis, you have it? Patellar tendonitis already?
Yeah, we all work out a lot.
I don't know.
so-
I think it's because I'm really inflexible, so it's probably
yeah.
because of that.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess getting on like track a little bit here. So, being a student athlete, right? That's a tough thing. Managing the balances of like school life and your athletic life. So I guess the first kind of question I have for you is, what do you think about like the pressures being put on kids in education and in school today, and like kind of time management type of stuff? What do you think about that?
Man, it's so rough, Jared, because my school, when I played in college, my college, I felt like did a good job of trying to help us manage it. But when you're, that phrase young and dumb, it's true.
Yeah.
It's like when you're young, you don't want to hear what somebody who's 40
Yeah.
has. You don't want to hear about their patella tendonitis or saving money. Like, they were talking to us about saving money, setting up a bank account, and they were talking to us about credit cards. They talked to us about injuries, going to counseling services. We had a team psychologist. We had resources that we were all like, yeah, and when's this over? So when it's a huge challenge from the part of the institution to emphasize in young people that they're not invincible. Because when you're young, you just feel like I can do whatever I want. I can run, jump, look at what I can do, and you think you're gonna be able to do that forever. And so you kind of live life like that. So that's the first challenge, I think, is trying to override how we're already thinking. But I think the one of the bigger issues that when I look back, I realized I struggled with was not so much time management, energy management. And so what I mean is, I'm an introvert. My best friends are books. Like I got to read like 8 or 9 books at the same. I'm reading books. I'm listening to books.
Yeah.
All that. And so when you're an introvert, your energy is recharged in solitude. When you're by yourself, when you're away from other people.
Right.
When you're a student athlete, you're constantly surrounded by people. You got your roommates, you got your friends who are stopping by from next door. Then you got practices, team meetings. You got to travel together, eat together, all these group things. And if you as a student athlete aren't really aware of how to take care of yourself and manage your energy, not so much your time, then you might result to drugs. You might result to smoking or smoking weed or alcohol, something to kind of calm your nerves down. You might even oversleep or isolate or act out and get in fights and arguments and things like that. So a lot of behavioral problems that we see in teenagers and especially young people really is about their energy, and like they're not given the space to recharge. For somebody who's extroverted, they love being around people and they love the loud noise and the cheering and all that. So they're good. And they're usually more physical and et cetera, et cetera. But for someone who's introverted or you just have a different energy level, that could be draining for you, and you're going to see the effects of that in your academics. You're going to see the effects of it in your relationships. Very often, like if you look at my transcripts from college, I was on the dean's list during the football season, and then off the football season, I had like D's and F's. Like it was a drastic change because I needed a whole semester to recharge from how much stimulation I
Yeah.
underwent during the season. And I didn't realize that. I just thought I was depressed or had seasonal affective disorder, which that may play a part, but I think the bigger part was I wasn't aware of how to manage my energy for my temperament. So I think that's one of the things that's really not discussed with student athletes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's interesting that you bring that up because I think, and I'll let you go, Ari, because I saw you wanted to bring something up. But like I feel like we did a whole episode on this. You know, in the school system, like there's a lot of things that kids don't aren't taught. They aren't taught how to emotionally manage themselves. They aren't taught how to time manage
Yeah.
themselves, and they
Yeah.
might think that they are depressed, but they're really stressed or something, that might throw you off. And getting bad grades a lot of the times just really makes you feel like awful. And it's a whole, it's very interesting how, it kind of manipulates your mindset,
Yeah.
especially as an athlete too.
Absolutely. Ari, did you want to say something?
Oh yeah. Do you have like any tips on how to manage like your energy during that time of like the football season you were saying because you're an introvert and you needed time to recover for that? Is there any
So
way to?
yeah, great question. So it's funny because I just because I life coach now, and a lot of my clients are like executive CEO type A personalities, perfectionist women who are go getters and thriving at work, and then struggling in their relationships. So we
Right.
talk about how to manage energy, how to manage anxiety and depression. So one of the things that and this is all going to sound like, oh, I've heard this before, but there's science. So let's backtrack a little bit. When you when you're a male up until the age of 25, the prefrontal cortex part of your brain is not fully developed yet. Why
Right.
does that matter? This is the thinking part of your brain. That's why, like, when you're trying to think of a problem, you're like, oh, where did I put the keys? What did
Yeah.
I do last night? Right?
Hmm.
You tap here, right? Now, the amygdala is your fight, flight, freeze, or appease part of your brain. And that's more of our like animalistic, like when you react or you go, oh, I don't know why I did that. Like now, think about like when you go nuts, you're like, you actually grab your amygdala when you feel like you're out of control. So our bodies are already subconsciously signaling what part of the brain that we are activating in the moment by our body language, right? So why is this important? Because if you are under 25, then you're mostly reactive. You're mostly operating out of here unless you've built the habits of how to take care of yourself, of exercising, of going to bed at a certain time. Like you're just kind of you got a routine that's locked in that'll override your amygdala so that you
Right.
don't have to think about it, right? Because even if this is developed, it's the smaller part of our brain. So even if it's fully developed, your amygdala is still the larger part, which is why it's so hard for us to change habits and why we go back to reactive or addictive behaviors. So to answer your question specifically, though, Ari, one of the things we can do to override the amygdala and get us more into our prefrontal cortex so that we can settle down and recharge is go outside.
Oh
Now, you hear
really?
people
Yeah.
talk
Hmm.
about going outside all the time, but
Fresh air.
here's the science behind it. There's a couple things. One, there's an optical thing at play. There's visual fractals, meaning when you are outside, you're seeing trees move, you're seeing waves, ebb and flow. You're seeing the ripples of the lake. You're seeing birds fly by. You're getting visual stimulation that encourages you to be more present, right? Because there's different stimuli coming at you. You're like, what's this? What's that? You're picking this up, and your eyes are moving side to side. And so what people didn't really know is that our eyes are actually a part of our brain. It's not separate from our brain. It's a part of our brain squeezed out through our skull, right? So why does looking side to side matter? Because this is calming to us. That's why when we are reading, it's relaxing. That's why when you are watching a tennis match, people are like, oh, yeah.
They're in awe.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you're watching a football game, which is a bit more linear, people are like, ah! It's more animalistic, right? So that's why, like, your parents are like, stop, put your screens down, because when you're looking at your cell phone or your laptop or your computer for too long, your eyes are only doing this, right? You're just looking at that little green dot, and that is a signal to your body that you are in a fright state of motion. Think about when something's scared, they go, and they look straight ahead, right? They zoom in. So that's exactly what looking at your cell phone for too long does, or looking at your computer screen for too long does. It creates tension in your body so that you're never able to really relax. So that's the science of it, right? Also, when you're outside, you're also picking up auditory fractals, meaning that you're picking up the sound of the wind. You hear the trees blowing. You can hear the ocean. You can hear rain. So you're sensing movement, and that's kind of like why a baby is rocked to sleep physically. Like when a baby's crying, the mom grabs her and then gets in a rocking chair, and it's just slight motion. So whether we are physically moving or we sense movement, it's calming to us. When you're in your dorm room or you're locked in your room for too long, there's no movement. Everything is stationary. And the only thing that's moving is what you see on your screen. But once again, your eyes don't move, right? So that's the power of being outside. And also, when you're in your room for too long, or in a small space, or even in your office or your cubicle, your vision is limited. So why does that matter? Think about when someone is trying to be aggressive, right? What do? They get right in your face, right? And what does that do? That makes you tense up, or you puff your chest out, or you tighten your fist. But as they create space between you, that allows you to relax. So when we go outside, the further our eyes can see, the more relaxed we become. That's why, I don't know if you've ever been on a rooftop or a rooftop party. You're like, wow, this is so cool. But why? It's a rooftop. Like if it was on the ground, it's the same people, same setup, but it doesn't have that same energy to it. Or like if you're on a boat or the ocean, the further out you can see, the more relaxed. That's why, like, if you notice, and I don't know if your father's ever gotten upset and like, I'm going for a walk. Naturally, going for a walk is gonna relax them. The other thing you can do to kind of soothe yourself is we need physical touch, right? So a lot of what happens is that we become so overwhelmed that we kind of isolate, we shut down. And it's not necessarily that we don't want to be around people. It's just that if we are, we need like a hug. So like when I'm overwhelmed, my girlfriend will come over and she will just press her hands on my chest. It's soothing. When you look at tribal cultures, hunter-gatherers, the way they ended their day, right, wasn't Netflixing and chilling, right? The way they ended their day was they would all sit around a campfire. And the best storyteller, would tell stories through the night, have everybody laughing, and in the meantime, they're grooming each other. There's constant physical touch. They're picking things out of each other's hair, they're braiding hair, they're getting dirt off their whatever bugs, right? And so, but we live in a culture now where we're not getting that physical touch. That's why like sports is so important, because when you play sports, you have a good game, everybody's high-fiving you, they're patting you on the back, they lift you up on your shoulders, and you're not going to get that in the real world, right? You're not. If you work in an office, nobody's going to throw you on your shoulders, because you made a sale that week. So we need that physical touch. We need to be outside, and we do need to connect with others. But if you're more introverted, introverted people prefer more like smaller groups, like 1 to 3 people, versus like a larger group, louder settings, things like that.
It's
Um,
not as overwhelming when it's
it's
like that.
right, absolutely, absolutely. So it's not about um, becoming an all or nothing, right? It's not about saying, "Oh, I'm an introverted. I never want to be around people."
Yeah.
It's about saying, most of the time, I enjoy being with myself or with a small group of close knit friends. Like introverts don't need a lot of friends, whereas extroverts have a million friends. Introverts usually have a few friends that they keep with them through their lifetime.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I feel like I resonated with something you said there. You said like oftentimes when you feel anxious, going outside and getting that movement is very important. And I remember, right, and I feel like I've talked about this on here before, but right after, right when we got back to our school, in September when COVID was like dying down, even though it's back up now, we were able to go back to school and hang out with friends for that period of time. I would get like really anxious about it for some reason, and I remember I would come home from hanging out with my friends, and I would sit in my room, and there would be like something on my chest. I didn't know what it was, and like I needed some like more physical interaction because it's like that thing that you haven't gotten for so long, and then you finally got it. And I quite literally in my room, I felt like I was trapped in between four walls, and I knew I had to get myself outside, and I did. And I went for a bike ride, and I felt so much better. So once I got out of those four walls, my anxiety levels completely decreased. Really interesting.
So I give
Yeah.
you four quick things for that also, because I understand some people live in like Utah where there's like 20 feet of snow or something
Yeah.
like that, and going outside isn't always available. Or you live in a projects
Yeah.
where it's dangerous to go
Right.
outside. So you talked about YouTube. Even watching, I watch a lot of 4K drone footage of nature, like even watching, nature footage can be a nice substitute for being outside if you can't be outside. It's almost like taking vitamins or supplements, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't live off of it, but it'll work in the meantime, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is, if when you're being social, and this is particularly for introverts, but when you're being social, one of the ways to also calm yourself down in a social situation is to notice the other person's eye color that you're talking to. And because what this does is, a lot of times when you're introverted and you have like social anxiety, you're so in your head, and you're like, who do I talk to? There's so much stimulation, and you're kind of all over the place, that when you notice a person's eye color, it locks you in, and you naturally become more present. So when you meet someone, shake their hand or give them a hug or whatever, and take note of their eye color. Like Jared, brown eyes; Dennis, blue eyes; Ari, green eyes. Like whatever it
Hmm.
is, lock in their eye color, and you'll naturally feel a bit more, especially with women. It works every time, and she just be like, oh my god, I just feel like you just listened to me and you heard, like it just it's very calming immediately. The um the other two things I want to talk about is when I am social, like when we are grow, we go to a friend's house or something. I have a 90-minute time limit. I literally set my watch. I realize I can be social and I can be relaxed for 90 minutes. After that, I kind of become undone. I get restless, I get bored, I get anxious, upset. Like I'm not a good person to be around after the 90-minute mark. Now, for some people, it might be 2 hours. Other people it might be out, whatever. But for me, I've realized that like at the 90-minute mark, we gotta wrap things up. Even if I'm
Right.
feeling good, we gotta go. Unless we're like the Super Bowl's coming up. That's gonna be three
Yeah.
hours. Gonna go to a
Yeah.
friend's house, so I'll get there a little later. But that's the limit. Like when I was in college and I would go out to the nightclubs, I wouldn't go to the nightclubs until an hour before they closed. So like it would
Uh-huh.
close at 2, I would get there at 1, and that's all the stimulation I needed. I didn't need to get there at 8 or when they opened up or whatever. Um, and then the last thing is touch. There when you are anxious or when you're overstimulated, there are moments where you'll notice, like maybe your mom and your father will come in and put their hand on you to kind of relax you, and it makes you, you kind of like, don't touch me, I don't want to be whatever
Yeah.
that is. So in that moment, it's not that you don't want to be touched, it's that you'd rather be hugged or held, right? And so what happens is touching, like if somebody touches you like this or they're rubbing you, that can be too much stimulation for some people. But a hug, which is stationary, which is more still, can be soothing. And so I know this because when we look at people who struggle or have been diagnosed with autism, they very much respond to being held. That's why they put straitjackets on, people in psych wards. It seems evil, but there is science behind, like, a person needing to just be still or held. That's why being in your car can be relaxing, because it doesn't make
Yeah.
room. It doesn't allow you to move around a lot. And so to say, you know what, don't touch me, but can you hold me, or can you just lay here next to me until I calm down? And so being able to communicate that.
Yeah, that's
uh,
really interesting about the psych ward. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned the thing about the nightclub, like you'd almost set a time limit for yourself. Like, would that be like, would you do that because like so you wouldn't have to make, so you'd kind of have an excuse, like, you'd go home and be like, oh, I didn't talk to this person, or I didn't talk to that person, and you kind of be like, you can fall back on the fact that, oh, the night I only had an hour to go do that and I didn't find that opportunity. Because I notice a lot of the times when I get anxious, I'm trying to like validate my decisions and like what I'm doing, and if I can't find a reason to validate it, or someone that I know or have seen that has done the same thing as me, I get even more anxious.
Right. And that makes sense because how old are you, Jared?
I'm 14.
So and this goes back to the brain development, right? Before we're 25, and this goes back to the science of, like, we tend to think in black and white, all or nothing. It's like either you're with me or you're against me. It's like, it's you're with me or you're with him. It's like, there's no in between. It's hard to see shades of gray, before the prefrontal cortex is fully developed. And so when I was in college, I realized that it's not that I didn't want to go to the nightclubs. I just don't want to spend a lot of time there,
Right.
And I also realized that I could pick up a girl in less than an hour. I didn't need to be there. Like if you get there at 8 or 10 o'clock, then, you pretty much got to wait till the club closes to leave with her. If I get there at 1, well, I know we're both going to leave at 2. So there was a science to it,
Right.
Like, how long does it take to close the deal? Less than an hour. Great. So
That's
why
impressive.
would I be there for 3 hours, right? But yeah, you just need a couple dances. You're in, you're out.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Nature's on your side. You know what I'm saying? So once you realize that, like what it is you really want and what it is you really need, then you start to cater your life to fit that versus doing what everybody else is doing just because they're doing it. Which there's nothing wrong with that, because that's how you learn what you like and don't like, right? You kind of have to mimic what the tribe is doing to figure out what specifically works for you and what specifically doesn't work for you. Does that make sense? So I was like, oh, I do want to socialize a little bit, but I don't need to socialize for 3 hours. Like, that's too much.
Right.
And for me, like, everyone around me is playing sports, and I don't really play sports. Like, I don't mess with it that much. But I like to make music. That's kind of my creative outlet, and that gives me enough stimulation compared to playing a full sports match or something like that.
And also, like, it's really interesting because, like, as teens and as kids, we, like, often stress about things like we were just talking about, like, going to talk to that girl that you like, or getting a good grade on a test, and it's just like, and you look back at it and it's so stupid, but it causes this huge storm in your body and in your brain, and you feel it physically, you feel it in your muscles, and it's just because of one girl or one test or one game or something.
Yeah, because it feels like the whole world is riding on this, and
Right.
plus,
Yeah.
you also have the pressure from your parents. Like, I mean, you guys all have Jewish last names, so I know
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of pressure to
Yep.
succeed, and like you can't be average, and
Yeah.
my girlfriend is Jewish.
Yeah.
She's Ashkenazi Jewish, so I
Oh, really?
completely get it. And so you have parental pressure, and then you also have past experience pressure, meaning your past performance is something now that you have to live up to. If you got straight A's last year, now you got to get straight A's this year. And if you get a B in a class, it's like, what's happened? Are you okay? Are you depressed? Is something wrong? Are you going
Yeah.
do you need pills? It's like it's this complete overcorrection, overreaction to like something that is preposterous to expect anyone to maintain. Even, I mean, the analogy I use is a plane has to land at some point, but it seems like parents and the adults in your life think that we should always be able to operate at 35,000 feet, i.e. straight A's, when it's like, no, sometimes, I got to take a loss here. Or it's like even Elon Musk, who's a billionaire, has had failed companies, and Bill Gates and all these top execs, like they're not getting all A's across the board. Like they've got divorces, they've got lawsuits, they got struggles. So if you read one of the best things that advice I got was in my 20s was a mentor of mine, and just a wildly successful entrepreneur, and he said to read biographies. And he said the reason why
Yeah, I
you
love
want to
reading
read
Yeah.
biographies is so that you get a complete picture of a person's life. Because what happens is right now you're comparing yourself mostly to your other friends and what they're doing right now. But there's such a small window of their life where you're comparing yourself to celebrities. And it's just a snapshot. But when you read a biography, you get to see a person going up and down, struggle and challenge, win and loss. And you go, oh, this is a part of life. I'm not the only one going through this. But if you
Yeah.
read like a self-help book, it's going to make you feel like you got to do more. And if you just think positive, and it's like, come on, like it's another
Yeah.
ridiculous, expectation that we're putting on you. So I would highly encourage you to read biographies of anybody, men, women, of anybody who've lived in the past, even if they've lived like 30 years ago, or even read fiction, because fiction will give you more ideas about life than, unfortunately your parents will, because they're trying to protect you.
That's interesting. Like you say, biographies. I'm actually reading one now about Michael Jordan. And it's like 10 different chapters about like his attributes that made him MJ. And like the first chapter is like his focus. And so I was reading that, and for me, like in school and basketball, like when the coach is telling me like a play, for some reason I cannot focus on that play. I'm in a different world. And so it made me kind of feel like, oh, I'm not good enough to be great, like Michael Jordan. But, it's just a simple, nuance. There are like some, things as I read on that I do see alike with him. And it goes back to that whole thing like we were talking about before, like, we're all three of us, I can say, like we have, pretty good lives, and like there's a certain expectation and pressure that we're surrounded with that we have to live up to. And we talked about this a couple episodes ago, and it's really interesting. And you see, how it rubs off on people.
Oh, I had a question about the school system actually. Like, you said you're a life coach, right?
Yes, sir.
So guidance counselors are kind of like life coaches. Do you think they're qualified to do their jobs?
Yeah. Here's the thing: guidance counselor, therapist, coach is just like dating. You want to find somebody that you click with, and unfortunately, you might have to go through 3, 10, 20 counselors, coaches to find that person that you click with. The people, the clients that I have that I work with, I start off with a large pool, and then it's dwindled to this small like Navy SEAL team of 6 who are loyal and that I've been working with for a while, and it took me a while to figure out what type of demographic I vibe with the most, and then what demographic vibes with me the most. So it's going to be trial and error. So it's not so much that the therapist is bad, is that
You just gotta
you
click with
two
them.
together. It's a relationship.
Yeah.
It's like this. It's the relationship that doesn't work. So just remind yourself of that also, because you're going to go through a lot of breakups, and you're going to blame yourself and you're going to blame the other person. But really, it's the relationship. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with the other person, because they're going to find somebody else. You're going to find somebody else. The relationship didn't work, and that's okay. Because you're not supposed to be with everybody, and everybody can't help you. That's just life. But
Yeah,
I did want
I
to
had an
tap on.
encounter with a.
Go ahead,
I had
Ari.
an encounter with a guidance counselor in middle school, and we definitely didn't click. I didn't like him.
And that's okay to say, you know what, this is not
Yeah.
working for me. However, I will say this though, is that a lot of people when they come to a coach or therapist, sometimes don't express their needs or what's bothering them. And sometimes if you let the therapist know or let the coach know what's going on for you or what's creating space between you two, usually the coach or a good therapist, they can course correct or refer you out. So part of it, it's both sides. It's you being able to communicate why maybe you feel uncomfortable or you don't feel safe, and then it's the therapist's job to make you feel safe and comfortable. But communication has to be both ways, right? Where hopefully they're noticing something isn't working, but you're also feeling empowered enough to say something like, I don't know why this is not working between us, but it's not, or I feel like there's a space between us, or I get anxious every time I come into our sessions, and to talk about that. It's okay to talk about the how you feel about the session versus jumping right into your issues, right? So know that you can do that at any point during the therapy. I mean, you are paying for it with your parents' tax dollars are paying for the guidance counselor, and eventually, when you get older, you'll be paying out of pocket. So know that you're empowered to say something.
And in my middle school,
Yeah.
right now I'm in high school, so last year, everyone had the same guidance counselor, and that's probably not the best fit with what you were saying, because some people were going to the guidance counselor more than others because some didn't click as well.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is where journaling comes into play, in that a coach, a therapist, a psychologist, the meds you're taking, each one of those things can only do so much for you.
Right.
Really, the work is what you do outside of therapy, outside of the classroom, right? And so when you're journaling, you'll be able to get more clarity as to what really works for you and what's resonating for you. And I know a lot of people aren't writers, so even recording like a video recording of your voice and just talking to yourself, that could work. Or recording yourself, daily video journals, or drawing. There's just so many ways to express yourself on a daily basis. I know, Dennis, you said you make music, so there are different ways to express yourself and to find how you can do that outside of it, so that you can then better express yourself in the relationship as it goes on, with the therapist. But you're right, one therapist for all the students. There are some pros to that, but there are definitely some cons to that
Yeah.
also. So I hear you on that.
And also, like, some kids, like, make fun of people for going to a guidance counselor or a therapist, and it's like sometimes you just can't be open about, like, what's really going down with you. Like, you have to, like, shield yourself. And you said,
Jared,
like-
I promise you, if somebody's making fun of you for going to therapy, I promise you, if you just give them a hug, they will break down crying in your arms. I promise.
I mean, yeah,
you.
no one's ever made fun of me, but I mean,
But because
but that's,
people,
that's
so I was
interesting.
vegan for 3 years, right?
Uh,
And I remember when I'm from Chicago, and vegan, like, what are you talking about? You don't eat meat.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
when I would tell some of my friends that, they would make fun of me, here comes this vegan, whatever. And then to come to find out that they were secretly becoming vegan, and they didn't tell me though. They were like rooting for me, and they were impressed. And I would find out from other people that how much they liked the fact that I was vegan. But when I was around, they were like, this. So a lot of times, what you'll find is that people make fun of the thing that they actually admire,
yeah,
and they're just trying to like show off or play it down. And so when you see that, you almost have to feel bad for that person of like, wow, I feel really bad for you because clearly you want to go to therapy, but you're afraid to go because of what your parents might say or how it might look. And so now you got to play this role of the Joker. And so, not to personalize when somebody makes fun of you because they definitely are jealous on some level.
yeah. I've had to learn that from a young age. Like, where the town, me and Dennis live in the same town. The town that we are raised in is so ultra competitive, and everyone has to be a Greek god, it's like you have to learn how to have thick skin, and I feel bad for those people out there that don't. I mean, I was like that for a long time. It took me about 6 years to
Mm,
finally, I was
mm.
chubby when I was little, and I didn't st- I got made fun of until I finally lost that weight. But yeah, what advice would you give to people that are being made fun of and bullied? Because it's a huge, and sometimes people don't know how to stand up, like, or use their voice.
You know what? So this is great, and there's a video online, and I forget the guy's name. He does a really great job. It's like if you just YouTube how to confront a bully or how to handle a bully, and he does a live demonstration of it. But basically, if you're being bullied by someone and somebody's making fun of you, look them right in the eye. First thing you want to do is notice their eye color, and look at them for a second. Take them in for a second and be like, you know what? So I give you, because I used to substitute teach. So I give you a couple examples. I had a kid come up to me and say that they were upset because another kid called them stupid. They were like, "You're so dumb,"
Mm.
right? And I told the kid brought this to my attention. I said, "Go back to that kid and tell them to prove it to you. Give you 10 examples of how dumb you are." And I bet you after like two, they're gonna peter out, and chances are they're not gonna respond at all. And the kid went back to the kid and was like, "Give me 10 examples of how dumb I am." And the kid just looked at him like, "What?" And he was like, "You said I was dumb. Prove it to me." And the kid was like, "All right." End of conversation. So what you've done is you've confronted the bully, but you haven't made fun of the bully. You didn't attack the bully, and you stood your ground. And you let the bully know that, all right, whatever you say, I'm prepared to take if you can prove it. If you call me dumb and you can prove that I'm dumb, fine. But if I call you out on it, you better be ready with a lawyer list of ways of which that is true. The other thing you can do when you're dealing with a bully is, and this is an example I had. I used to substitute actually at a Jewish middle school and high school, and I remember this girl asked me a question. It was in a math class, and the other girl next to her was like, "Oh my God, you don't know the answer? I can't believe you don't know the answer. Like it's so easy." And I sat back for a second because I wanted to see how the other girl was going to respond. And she looked at the girl and she goes, "Yes, I don't know the answer, but if you show it to me, I'll be able to figure it out." And the other girl just kept going like, "You're just so dumb." And the other girl just kept responding like, "Well, just show me how to do it, and then I'll be able to do it." And the girl said it again. You're so stupid. And then the girl was like, yes, but once you show me how, that won't be true anymore. Now will it? And the girl eventually broke down, showed her how to do the answer, and then the girl just went right back to her work. So this goes right back to not taking things personally, two, to not back down from the bully, and kind of like call them on their stuff. What if they say you're so tall, or you're so fat, or you're so, and just be like, all right, and now what? Like, what does that mean? What does that change? How is that working for you? That I'm this size, okay, But the other thing you can do is say someone is calling you, fat, or basing something off of your intelligence or your looks or something like that. Well, what the other thing you could respond is saying, you know what? I wish I was as smart as you. Clearly, I'm not working as hard, and I do admire your work. Like, you want to be genuine about this, right? And say, do you have any time to like show me how to do, X, Y, and Z? It could be sports. Somebody's like, you're so slow. Wow, I've really been working on my speed, and I don't see any progress. Do you have any tips? So what my point is that what you'll find is that your enemies, right, will become your allies if you're able to invite them in to what it is you're really trying to work on. So you have to have a little vulnerability in saying, you know what, I do need to work on that. I'm not the smartest kid in the class. I am not the fastest kid. Do you have any tips? What do you do? What do you eat for breakfast? Are you training after school? Like, what videos are you watching? Like, recruit them into helping you get to where they are and surpassing them. And you will find that 9 times out of 10, they'll be so excited because all they really want is attention. That's what most bullies want. They're not getting attention at home. They're not getting attention in class because, they're underperforming in some way. Okay. And so they're finding a way to get attention. And unfortunately, that's how they choose to go about it.
The kids at our school love attention.
Yeah.
Right, Jared?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh my God! Don't they? Don't they love attention, man?
Yeah.
So I have a question. Did Dennis or Ari, did you guys want to comment on that before I ask this question?
No, I'm good.
No? All right.
I just wanted to say that people at our school crave attention.
So, like, this might be a little off topic or kind of on the same track, but do you believe in, like, so I heard someone say this before, that the strongest force is like momentum. Do you believe in like momentum, like when one bad thing happens and another bad thing happens and then another and then another, and like that's how like it like you feel depressed or anxious because all these things are just piling up on each other, and what will the effect of one of those bad things happening be the cause of the next bad thing that happens? Because I noticed that like actually like a week ago, like for some reason I was stressed out about the podcast, and then I realized I had a assignment due, and then it's like it seems like all these bad things are happening in like right after one after another,
Yeah, that's happened to me.
And you had that too, Ari? I see you nodding your head.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's a great question because there was every year a lot of people will make their New Year's resolutions or the vision board, and for me I've never been one to do that. It's been mostly I just pick a word that I want my year to represent, right? So one year it was momentum. So to answer your question, yes and no. Momentum is like when you watch a basketball game, or you can clearly see in a basketball game one team has momentum, right?
Yep.
But in actuality, they both have momentum. It's just that one has momentum that is leading them to score more points, and the other one has momentum that is, where they're sabotaging, that maybe they're arguing more, and so that they have momentum going in a different direction. So momentum in and of itself isn't necessarily a good thing. It's just a thing. It just depends on which way the momentum is taking you, right? So what I've learned from that year of focusing on momentum is you never want to get caught up in momentum, because what happens is you'll have like three great things happen, right? And then you'll be like you'll get an A on a test. The girl that you've been trying to talk to calls you back finally. Your parents actually compliment you in a way where you're like, oh, that was thank you for seeing my hard work, Dad. And you're just like, all right, I'm firing on all cylinders here. I'm hanging out with my buddies this weekend, and so the trap that we fall into is trying to keep up that momentum, and it's not possible. It's impossible. I don't care who's talks about like I'm killing it all. It's like, no, you're not. Like, you got to land the plane eventually, right? So the key to momentum in either direction is gratitude, right? So instead of saying, wow, I got 3 wins, I got the A, I got the girl, I got my buddies, we're going to hang out, all that stuff, is to say, I'm so thankful that my hard work paid off. I'm so thankful that, I'm finally, talking to a girl that I've been, checking out since 8th grade, whatever. And I'm so grateful that I have a team of friends that I'm hanging out, because then what that does is it kind of calms you, and it reminds you that like you don't have to stay on this treadmill of go, 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 because you're going to burn out, right? And if you don't take time to appreciate where you are and, how good your school is, and the fact that you have worked hard to lose the weight and, get in shape, and that you guys do have a podcast, like you're building something together at such a young age. So, you have all these things that you're already accomplishing. You're not even trying to do a thing. These are things that you're already doing and that are in play. And so to take time to celebrate those wins, to celebrate, wow, we got 100 episodes. I never thought we'd get 1 episode. Wow, the girl called me back. I thought she would never call me back. Like, to show gratitude. And even if you're spiraling down, right? You get an F, the girl doesn't call you back, or she breaks up with you. Your parents blame you for something you didn't do. And that even in that moment is a time where you could be like, wow, like, at least I know that I need to study for 2 hours, or maybe now I need to get a tutor. Like, to be grateful that you got feedback. Because when we lose a thing, we get feedback. Like, when your girl breaks up with you, she doesn't just break up with you. She tells you all the reasons why, like, this isn't working, all that, right? It's like, oh, thank you for the feedback. I appreciate that. So now I'm going to go back to the lab like Batman. I'm going to go in the cave. I'm going to recharge the armor. And then I'm going to come out a better human being, right? And so even from your parents, it's like, wow, even if they say something that hurts, to sit back and be like, damn, that hurt, but what part of that was true? And what part of that do I have control over, right? Instead of thinking, oh my God, my life is out of control, I'm never going to get a girl, I'm never going to, pass a grade, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, what is this moment teaching me? What's the feedback teaching me? But to also be grateful that you're getting feedback, because that means that you now have an opportunity to grow, change, evolve, and thrive,
Yeah, and a little bit of advice for anyone that seems like their momentum is swinging in a negative way or downward. Something that I do is, so I have a lot of stuff to get done during my day nowadays with school, and I have an editing internship, and I like to work out every day, do stuff for the podcast. So I have a to-do list that I write down all my stuff to do, and at times,
my God, I do the same thing.
At times it can seem it can seem really overwhelming. All those tasks, like today I had like 8. At like long task, and it's really overwhelming. But what I do is at the bottom every day I write 3 positive things that I'm grateful for, and it could be like the stupidest thing. Like yesterday I wrote like I'm a huge Knicks fan, and on the Knicks there's this kid named Emmanuel Quickly, and he's a rookie. He scored 30 points. So I wrote I was grateful for that, and it's just those little things that make you feel good, and that's it gets you out of that rut.
I love that. And that's amazing that you do that at such a young age. I was completely lost. I remember all my teachers asking me to journal, and I was like, I'm not journaling, and but the fact that but to also like the fact that you're overwhelmed at, how old are you, 14, you said?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my, like to be, first of all, to, have compassion for yourself too, for like, Dennis and Ari, like you guys have a lot. When I was a kid, when I was your age, all I had to do was go to school and come home. No right? That was it. There was no social media. There was no I played football, but so I had like maybe 2 things on my plate. So I didn't have to write anything down. The fact that you have so much on your plate at 14 that you have to write it down is, it's okay to say no. It's okay to be like, if you find that you're having too many days of feeling overwhelmed, then you might have to look at your list and be like, I might have to shelf something. I might have to say no to a thing. I might have to drop out. I might have to put this off until another time, right? Versus like this chronic feeling of dread and what do I have to do today? You kind of have to listen to your body at some point. If you're getting sick all the time, things like that, it's like, all right, maybe I don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. and go to bed at midnight.
It's important to adjust.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Jared, I want to go back for a second if I could, because you talked about MJ and focus. And the thing I really want to emphasize to anyone who's listening is we have to define terms for ourselves. Here's what I mean. Your definition of focus is going to be different than Dennis's, is going to be different than Ari's. And like, I don't know, did you guys watch the documentary of the Bulls on Netflix?
The Last Dance?
Jerry did.
Yeah, I watched it.
Okay,
I love that.
So if you notice, Michael Jordan talks about focus, right? But part of his focus was he smoked and drank right after games, right? Yeah. And if you look at Dennis Rodman, part of his focus was going to Vegas in the middle of the playoffs. And, Lord knows how little sleep he had and how much drugs he did. But that's what worked for him. And that's what allowed him to stay focused. And his coach recognized that. So when you're reading about people and they're like, well, Jordan was really focused. Okay. Figure out for yourself what that looks like for you. Don't try to be focused the way he was focused. Because for you, Jared, it might be because the fact that you take notes, you might have to say to your coach, hey, can you email me the plays? Because maybe you respond better to things that are written or things that you write down than things you take in auditorily. I have a friend who is dyslexic, and he would take a voice recorder in because he found that listening to the lecture and then re-listening to it allowed him to retain the information. Whereas for me, like even right now as I'm talking to you all, I'm taking down notes. Like I have to be writing down everything all the time. But that's how my brain works. I can't just listen and be like, oh yeah, I got it. I got to be like, no. See, so you have to figure out how to make that work for you, and then also advocate to your coach and say, I really want to understand the plays. I'm not getting it when you say it. Is there a way that you can, text it to me or email it to me? Or something. Yeah.
So, a couple more questions before we, wrap up. So you if I understand, I read your About You section on your website. You moved to LA for like your comedy career.
Yes, sir.
So tell what was it? What was that like? Because that's always been a dream of mine to move to LA eventually when I get older for like the business side of things. I recently decided that I'm going to do like whatever I can to get into UCLA so I can kill two birds with one stone and be in LA, you know, when as early as possible. So what was that like for you?
Now, where do you all live right now? What city?
We're in New York. We're on the East Coast. So.
I live in Connecticut.
Completely different coast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, here's what I'll say about LA, and because everybody's experience is going to be different. But the thing that is true about LA is that it's tribal. It's a city of communities. So I'm from Chicago, right? Yeah. And in Chicago, Chicago is broken down by ethnicities. So you got Polish town, you got Germans hanging out in one area, you got black people in one area, you got the Middle Easterns in the area. Like the Greeks are in one area, the Irish, like everybody's broken up by their ethnicity. Where in LA, people are broken up by their interests. So like if you're a hippie, all the hippies hang out here. If you're an artist, all the artists hang out over there. You know, if you're more in business, they live over here. Like, so it's about, what's cool about LA is like, it's about finding your tribe or tribes. Right. And there's a tribe for everybody. Like whatever you're interested in, you can find that pocket of people who have the same interest. You know, if you're in a book, you know, bookworm, there's that group too. So there's something, you know, they got the bodybuilders, and then you got the models and the actors, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's the only thing I could really say about LA is it's very tribal. And but the thing that I miss being from Chicago is the change in weather. So LA is very,
weather doesn't change in LA.
It doesn't change in LA. So it can feel very monotonous. So the thing I would say is if you do move to LA and you find yourself feeling a bit stagnant, is because the weather is stagnant and it doesn't change. And when they say it doesn't rain in Southern California, it doesn't. It does for about a week, but it's not much. So, but what's beautiful about LA is that the woods, the hiking, skiing, all that stuff is like an hour to 5 hours away. It's all within driving distance. So
you got Big Bear.
Yeah, you got Big Bear. You got so many different things you can travel to. So if you do move out here, schedule that into your lifestyle of like, just know that you're gonna have to get away just to breathe in some trees and lakes and mountains and things like that.
That's interesting. Yeah, because we have about 2 feet of snow outside right now. So I wonder if I'm gonna miss that. Dennis, any points you guys want to talk about?
I have a question. It's kind of off topic. Why did you start your podcast?
Great question. So for the listeners who don't know, I have a podcast called Before You Kill Yourself. It's a suicide prevention podcast. I struggled myself personally with suicidal ideation since I was a kid. I remember 9 years old just feeling like a complete burden to my parents and like feeling like their life would be better if I wasn't here. I was like, why do they have us? They'd be able to travel the world. They would have more money, and I'm just a drain on the resources. So I remember very early on feeling like that. And that thought hasn't really left. I'm always on some level feeling like a burden, or just being mindful of not being a burden. And you know, on top of that, now like the chronic pain from football injuries, and just, you know, struggling with depressive episodes. And when I look at my family, I realize that people have struggled in my family also with different things. Nothing that's been diagnosed, but you could just tell just from habits that my family has had. So with that said, the podcast was birthed also out of realizing that I'm not the only one struggling with these thoughts. When we look at acute versus chronic suicidal ideation, people who have chronic suicide ideation, on some levels find it soothing and relaxing. So it's not always a sign that the person wants to necessarily end their life. It's more so that maybe they just want to end the pain. And if we remove the thought of, there was a quote by someone who said, I would only kill myself if I couldn't kill myself. Like, it was something to that nature. Like, if the option to kill myself was removed, then that's when I'd want to kill myself. But the fantasy of thinking about it allows me to still be here. And that's the case for some people who have it. But the main impetus for the podcast was there was a running back, Rashaan Salam, who played for the Chicago Bears. And he was a Heisman Trophy winner, got drafted by the Bears, and then he ended his life in his late 30s, maybe early 40s. And I was shocked. I was like, man, this guy had the career in life that I wanted, and he ended his life. Yeah. And I ran into a friend of his, and I said, why did he end his life? And without flinching, his friend said to me, he didn't know how to take care of himself. And even as I'm saying this to you, it always makes me want to tear up the idea that this guy with so much money, so many resources, and a career, and is beloved by so many, still couldn't figure out how to take care of himself financially, physically, emotionally, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, you know what? If I'm struggling with this and I have a master's, and he's struggling with this and he has a Heisman and he went to the highest level, and and he even he did so much volunteer work that I found out afterwards. I go, how many more people out there are struggling with how to take care of themselves? Like, in school you learn stats and capitals and how to play the harmonica or didgeridoo or whatever, but you never really learn how to take care of yourself, how to take care of your emotions. You don't really learn how to manage loss, because when you're young, you lose so many friends. Like, your friends come and go, relationships, breakups. There's so much failure with grades, and your friends got accepted into a college and you didn't. There's so much. Your body is changing. You're getting bullied. So much is happening, and most of the time your parents don't even know how to help you navigate through what you're going through. And so I birthed it out of like, if I can just help a few people learn how to take care of themselves, sleep better, eat better, how to get a girl. I mean, we're not, when we think about suicide prevention, it's not about like you not killing yourself. It's more about how do you live a life where you feel connected, where you feel present, where you feel effective, where you don't feel alone, right? Where you feel like where you can express what you're feeling and what you need and what your wants are. How do you do that? How do you negotiate for a better life? How do you stand up for yourself? All these things that really matter to us, right? The car, the house, that's nice. The awards, those are nice. But when we break down what really matters to people, is feeling connected and feeling effective, feeling like what you do matters, and doing something that matters to you with people that you care about. Those are the two most important. That's why sports are so important, or going to school, or that's why like road trips are so much fun with your friends, or hopefully with your family. We love to do things with other people, and a lot of our society is unfortunately become set up to where it becomes harder and harder to do that.
Yeah. Ari, Dennis, anything else?
I'm good.
No? All right, so Leo just kind of told you Leo, tell the people where they can find you.
So the podcast is on all the streaming platforms, Spotify, Google Play, everywhere this podcast is streaming. And if you want one-on-one coaching, you go to thrivewithleo.com for one-on-one coaching with yours truly. Let's get to tomorrow together.
Yeah. Wow, I feel like a wiser person after that.
Yeah,
Leo, thank you
definitely.
so much for coming on and joining us today. That is the goal of this podcast from now on. We're gonna try and give you guys more self-help tips. As you saw, we got our second guest on today, Leo. We're gonna be coming out with new content soon. And remember to, once you subscribe, down below, comment "I subscribed" to join the Clueless family. Ari and Dennis, why don't you guys sign out?
Make sure to follow us on all socials at the Clueless Show _ on Instagram and TikTok, and just the Clueless Show on Twitter. And if you want to follow us on Facebook at the Clueless.show.
You can find us on all listening platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. On YouTube, we're just Clueless. On Spotify and Apple Podcast, I believe we are the Clueless Show.
All right. Well, once again, thank you, Leo, for coming on, and we will see you guys next week. Peace out.
Peace. Thank you.